museum, the building was opened in 1940, and there was a committee appointed to work on a museum. The will of Mr. Loveland stated there was to be a museum in this building, and they chose this upper floor. This is the top floor. The committee asked for the older people or the people in the county to bring in items that had belonged to their forefathers that had come into the county. And so we are very fortunate. We have lots of lovely things here in the museum.
Today we're going to look at the Shoemaker days, right?
Yes. A group of us here were related to Hervey and Cora Shoemaker. And Mary Jane is holding a marriage certificate of Cora and Hervey. They were married in 1878 and in Amboy. And Imogene had copies of the certificate made and copies of the pictures of Hervey, Grandpa Hervey, and Grandma Cora.
It's one interesting fact is that Cora's name was Shoemaker also before they were married, so she didn't even change her last name.
No.
Her last name was Shoemaker, spelled exactly like Hervey, but was she the New York Shoemaker?
Yes.
Hervey was Pennsylvania Shoemaker.
Right.
And in one of his diaries that we read with Imogene, it did mention that he did go calling on her. I think that was in the 1876 diary.
Yes,
that he went calling on her.
Cute. Okay. And we're very fortunate. A cousin of, or a granddaughter of Cora had Cora's wedding dress and mailed it to me, probably about a year ago. She said she had this dress. She always had admired it when Grandma would get it out of the trunk. And so Grandma gave her this dress, and she said that it was her wedding dress. And it was 1878. We have it marked here. We have it with a few more wedding dresses. And it shows the little waist. We worked so hard to squeeze this in so we could get this, show this on. I'll turn it around here. How's that?
Oh, that's beautiful.
Isn't that a beautiful thing? And think how much she must have worn it. Look at these sleeves. We probably should have filled them out, but you know, like we said, was fashionable back in that day.
And I assume that this was all handmade back in those days. I don't think they had the sewing machines like we know them today.
Sure, those tiny little stitches.
And I noticed it's the oldest wedding dress on display. We have one here from 1886, one from 1905 and 1947. Now, Art and I were married in 1948, and my dress is very similar to this one. Although I don't know where my wedding dress is. My daughter got married in it, and she's got it.
She has it. Yeah. Oh, it's in the family.
What year did Grandpa Hervey Shoemaker pass on? Was it 1894?
Yes, when was Aunt Elsie married? Aunt Elsie?
1895, 1896, and he was only in his 40s. And Hervey had been a school teacher in Pawpaw or Coxon.
He went to the Pawpaw Academy to school, but he was a school teacher in the Evergreen School, and it had another name. It was in Lake County. It was in Lake County.
What did they call it? The Brick?
Well, he went to the Brick School and had debates. He would go to debates at the Brick School, which was across from St. James, and would attend the debates. And I guess very popular. Very popular. People from Dixon would come out.
Okay, we're going to look at some other artifacts of the Shoemakers, and Art's going to give us a swing around the museum so we can see some of the other things in here.
Art, can I read something from the Shoemakers?
When he gets over there, he's going to have you. You're going to be next. You're on next. Imogene has it. You're going to talk about all these things.
Page 9, it says.
Okay, you shut it off, Art, and come on over.
Kelvin, yeah?
No, you need to be over on this side to see it.
No.
This is a book that Grandma kept track of her money in. It would be, I just love this. She had 8 pounds and very nearly another fourth of butter that she made March the 1st in 1910. In another place, she had 10 pounds of cream, 4 3/4 pounds of butter. Imagine weighing all this stuff. And, but anyhow, she had cream, and there's some place, and I might run across it yet, where it told who she sold some of her cream to. And then every once in a while, now this is commencing November. And so she had 19 pounds of cream, and she had 8 1/4 pounds of butter. But you know, I should have looked up the years to see if that would have been. I think that this was after Grandpa Hervey died and the family was living in Alvina.
Is that her handwriting on the jeans?
Yes, and it's beautiful.
If you turn the book a little out,
It's just perfect. Just perfect. It's written with pencil though, and it won't.
Grandma Cora lived to 1947, I believe. She was 90 years old when she died. So she was a widow a long, long time and raised 7 children. She must have had to keep really good books.
Whatever you're doing.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, I can't see that right now, but in here, someplace it tells that Grandma, she raised her own baby chickens, and she had 430 of them, little chickens, and then she sold those chickens, and in here, she tells about, she got some flour, 20 pounds of flour for $1.45. And she got a box of coffee. It cost 20 cents. 2 cups of dried beef. That cost her 30 cents. And sugar was 50 cents, but she didn't put down how much she bought. And the toothpicks were 5 cents. And a squash cost her a dime, and celery cost her 10 cents.
You know, in those days, I don't imagine they gave her a chicken at the store. And so she must have come home and recorded everything.
She would come home and done
her
that.
expenses.
I thought that I had my finger where it tells the price of kerosene. She'd buy a gallon of kerosene. Now, that would probably have been for the lamps. Because she wouldn't have had a kerosene brooder stove when she had it that far back.
The kerosene lights of it.
Yeah. And here she was selling some eggs. 3 dozen eggs she sold for 90 cents. 4 dozen, making her 30 cents a dozen, $1.20. And
What other artifacts do you have there, Anna Jean? Here there's a little case and a little certificate.
well, now this is a certificate that was Grandma Cora's. A certificate that Mrs. Cora Shoemaker is enrolled as, well, don't ask me, member of the Women's Society of World Services of the Evangelical United Brethren Church in recognition of a gift of $10 to be used in the extension of Christ's kingdom. And it's got this cute little picture of Grandma.
Oh, it's got a picture of Grandma in it.
And, but I think we'll all remember this picture. It must have been because Grandma had a rocking chair, and that is the picture that she had in the rocking chair.
I think we call that our own little Whistler's mother.
And then here's another cute little thing. We'll get over here. And I don't know how long this says, the picture of Cora Shoemaker and sample of dress material. And it was a gift from Josephine Henrich. But anyhow, the little sample is so cute. And I think Grandma must have been a girl in there, but that's only my
Can you turn it
opinion.
and he can zoom in on, there we go.
This was Grandma's rolling pin. Look at she wore it off on the ends.
She wanted to make like Grandma's.
Whose was it?
Aunt Elsie's.
Oh, Aunt Elsie.
Aunt Elsie's rolling pin, it was made by Uncle Mike. Now, wasn't Uncle Mike Uncle Charlie?
We're going to have to
Did
think
any of
about
your
that.
Shoemakers know?
I didn't know we had an Uncle Mike.
Oh, I've had Uncle Mike.
I'm just,
I'm going to have to think about that. I never thought about I'd get involved. And then this was the little thing that you put in your socks years ago to darn the toes. Says Josephine.
but it was Aunt Elsie's.
Oh, it was Aunt Elsie's. Okay. Don't know what this little book is. The plaza that keeps you talking about in our country.
What is it?
Just go on in there.
Well, that was
Yeah.
her little hymn book.
With her little hymn book.
I think you gave up this one, I gave it to you. For that. And it said presented to Cora by her cousin, Martha Beers. It's a little book in here.
Now, the Beerses were on Dennis's and Jane, was it Jane and Dennis, the parents of Cora?
Right.
Her
Right.
mother's maiden name was Beers.
Yes,
So this would be a cousin on her mother's side.
yes. This is the low butter knife and the sugar shell that Josephine said was always on the table. She used this all the time. Mrs. Henry said these, and that was Josephine Trumbull. And this was Josephine's father, but she wanted to send it to the museum. It's a little match safe. It has a little striker on the bottom, and it's an Art Nouveau because it has the naked lady on it. And this little silver thing has the little, you pull it out, and this was for stamps. It has the little cellophane or whatever it is. You put the stamps between. And Mrs. Henry sent these too. Josephine sent these too. She sent all of this that I'm showing you. And these, the pincer glasses in the case. And these belonged to Jane Beers, who was the mother of Cora. Aren't they cute? It's the only pair of pincers I think I have up here. And when they divided up Grandma's things, of course, I had to fuss, because I didn't get a cheat sheet. So I fussed to my husband's mother, and she gave me Grandma's teapot. Isn't that cute? That's what you get when you fuss. And then in Grandma's sewing box that I have at home. Now, I think Jean has one too, so Grandma must have a couple. But it was this little bitty box, and it had a pin point in it. The old Bic pens, but the box was given to her for, it had medicine. She was to take one tablet every 6 or 8 hours. But she kept her pen points in it. In that cute little box. Didn't have too many pills in it. And then I have 2 books. Grandpa Hervey had an Aunt Margaret Shoemaker. Husband's name was Samuel, and both of them were related. And Josephine Trumbull sent this recipe book, Buckeye Cookery. Mary Jane will be interested in this. The date of it is I'll have to look for this, 97 or 37. I can't tell, I think it's 1837, but it's very